Okay, it is noon o'clock on Wednesday, December 7th. My name is Courtney Ness-Fuchs with North Dakota Assistive. I'm going to turn on the captions here, so you should be able to see those. This webinar will be recorded and will be available on North Dakota Assistive's website, as well as our YouTube channel for you to access at a later date if you want to view the recording. I will also have the slides available for you there as well. If you have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to put them in the Q&A, and I will do my best to answer them, or if not, I can come back and get back in touch with you, or you can certainly send me an email and I will try and answer your question that way. Just going to adjust my camera a little bit. I moved it, it's a little high. Okay. All right. So moving forward, Courtney Ness-Fuchs with North Dakota Assistive. Our website is ndassistive.org, and you can call us at 800-895-4728. So in this webinar, we are talking about how assistive technology can be used to, I see a hand raised. Erin, do you want to put your question in the chat? Or was that an accident? Might have been an accident. I unmuted you for a second, Erin.
Hey, I was just gonna let you know that your slides aren't in like share mode. They're just still in. It's not in slideshow mode yet. Just letting you know.
Okay, I love Zoom. Do you guys love Zoom as much as I do? I appreciate it, Erin.
Love Zoom. But yes, it's
Okay.
just in the, it's maybe you just haven't started the slideshow yet, but we can see, the slides on the side. So maybe just want to make it widescreen.
Is that showing now?
Yes, that's better.
Okay, that's what I was seeing. So thank you for telling me.
No problem.
I thought I checked it this time. Okay. Okay, thanks for that, Erin. So now that we are on the slides where everyone can see, when we are thinking about assistive technology to provide remote monitoring or the ability to help someone safely and independently stay in a less restrictive environment for their independence, I want you to remember that each of us is an individual, and we all have our own needs, wants, desires. Keep that in mind and you will have the most successful outcome. Right, so think about it this way. I have two different images on the screen here. First, I have a wetland, very lush tropical environment where there are lily pads floating on a pond of water. On the other side of the screen, I have a cactus that is flowering in a quite sandy desert-like environment. Those plants, though they both need sun and water, those plants need very different things in order to thrive because they have individual needs. And so keep that in your mind as you are working on finding a solution for folks. So again, most important thing I can say is to make it personal. The more you know your person, their what they need from the beginning to the end of their day, at the night, what are their unique needs, the better your solution will be. And so you really need to know your person first as the first step before you can find a solution. If you're trying to find a solution that's going to work for everybody, it just won't work. You will have those plants, you'll have a cactus, and you'll have a lily pad, and neither one of them is going to thrive if you're trying to find an environment that both of them will work in. So keep in mind, unique needs equal better outcomes. And if possible, involve your client. Ask them what they need. Ask them where they think they need a little extra help, where they think it would feel good to have a sense of safety. Involve them. And so now we're going to start with getting to know you. So these questions I want you to ask, and I want you to write down the answers. I know it seems like a lot of questions. Trust me, it could be a whole lot more, but these are just to kind of get you started thinking, how can we build a system? So if we have these answers, we have that history, we can build a system because we'll know what types of features we need. So go through their entire day, go through a week in their life. Because some days are different than others. Do they need support with making food? Do they remember to turn the stove off? How about dressing? Do they know to dress appropriately for the weather? Is that an area where they need that support? Are they a fall risk? Do we need a system that has a sensor for that, a fall detection type of thing? So getting to know them, think about their memory type of needs. For example, do they take their medication? Do they need a reminder, or do they need a medication system that a care provider can access and see, okay, the meds were taken, we're good? Or is it okay just to, check in later in the day and say, hey, did you take your meds? Wonderful. And they just needed a little alarm on their phone to tell them, take your meds. If it's a person that used to drive a car, are they still trying to drive? And that's no longer safe. Those are all different types of things you want to think about. Do they need a personal emergency response system? Should it be integrated into the whole system, or is this a standalone type of device we're looking at? Again, this depends on their needs. And so is it just at home that they need to be able to push that button and call for help? Or are they okay going over to, say, a touchscreen device like an Alexa or an iPad and doing a video chat that way with their family member or support person? Are we concerned about social isolation? Is that something we need to consider when choosing a system? Do we need a human interaction? And is that something that a family member or care provider can do? Or do we need to, work with an external service that's able to give them some companionship a little bit throughout the day? Or there's even electronic devices like the LEQ robot that can give you fun little interactions throughout the day and decrease those feelings of loneliness. Are we needing to monitor sleep? For example, needing to see that we're worried they're getting out of bed a lot at night. What's the underlying cause of that? If we can track and see, okay, it looks like they're getting out of bed 6-7 times a night, well, maybe they have an infection, we need to bring them into the doctor. Maybe they like to drink Coke really late at night and it's keeping them awake. We can look and have that and get that type of data and information without having to have someone there with them 24/7. We could have a motion sensor that's placed down at like their feet level that's letting us know, okay, motion was detected, between 11 and 6 a.m. Motion was detected this many times. We can see how frequent it is, and then we can work on those items. Or if motion is detected and we're worried that they're a fall risk, it's going to alert a caregiver, for example, that's in the building. So different ways to leverage it. So do we need to monitor their sleep? Likewise, are there medical needs that need to be monitored, like blood sugar? Do we need a system that will tell us, okay, this person's blood sugar is getting really low, and we can drop in and remind them to take their medication, type of thing. And then what do they already have? They might already have devices that in their home that they're using, they're comfortable with. they're used to having around them. So it might be a smartphone or a tablet, a smartwatch, an Alexa device, those different types of things. Okay, my computer doesn't like me all the time. Okay. Oh, that's why I'm hiding it. You guys, thanks for bearing with me. I wanted you to hear this song, and I just can't click on the right spot. Okay, that's what I was thinking about the entire time I was writing this section, is writing it down. Take a note, get to know them, observe, ask questions throughout the whole time. Okay, now we're going to move on to just some examples of things that can be monitored within a smart home to give you an idea. The first step is getting to know your person. If they're a family member, if they're somebody you're providing support for, really get to know them, what they like, what they dislike. It's going to help a lot, what their patterns are throughout the day, what the concern areas are. As far as things that can be remotely monitored, there is a ton of stuff and it keeps growing. And there are dedicated devices that can monitor certain things. And then there are more general type of devices that we can leverage creatively to monitor something. So for example, you can monitor doors and windows. Are they open? Are they closed? You can have a smart lock that will tell you when it's opened and closed, that you can monitor from, say, a smartphone, from somebody, from a care provider support person that is in another building, for example, or a family member that is in another town. And if that system is connected via Wi-Fi, that support person can go and look and say, oh, okay, looks like they forgot to lock their door. I'm going to lock that for them. So you can do a lock. Again, windows, open, close. You can see those real easy contact sensors that are just magnets that once they are open, it breaks that magnetic contact. We can also do Wi-Fi based thermostats. So you can see, okay, they are, today it is currently 3 below, according to my weather app, not including wind chill. And we obviously want to make sure that the heat is running and it's at an accurate or an appropriate temperature. We can touch base using a smartphone app and see what the temperature in the home is and then adjust the thermostat. Lots of different types of sensors also have a temperature gauge in them. So you can just check in and see the temperature. And then if it's somebody that's able to, you could call them and say, hey, I noticed it's really cold in your apartment. Maybe you want to turn your heat up a little bit, and they can do that. So that just depends on the level of support your individual needs. We can use motion sensors to tell us when someone is active and inactive, if they are in their bedroom or if they've moved into the living room. We can use it both to monitor how frequently they're getting up, or if there are periods of inactivity, those motion sensors can send out an alert. Okay, George has been inactive now for 12 hours. This is beyond his normal kind of realm of sleeping. Now we want to have someone go and perform a safety check to make sure George is doing okay. You could also use a motion sensor in like a cupboard to see, okay, is that cupboard getting opened? Are they remembering to eat? Because that cupboard is where their food is that they usually have. Or it could be where their medications are. Maybe they don't need a locked pill box or anything like that. They just might need somebody to see, oh, they haven't opened that cupboard yet today. It's 2 hours past when they're supposed to take their morning meds. Let's give them a call and give them a gentle reminder. It's time to take meds. There are different types of alerts to tell you if someone is getting in and out of bed. There are ones that can be worn on the clothes that'll tell you if someone has sat up or gotten up. Those will also work with the chair. And so you can use that both as a way if you have somebody that needs assistance once they are getting up because they're a fall risk, or to monitor if you need to go in there because there hasn't been that activity that you would expect. There are smart smoke and fire alarms that can send alerts to a caregiver's smartphone, for example. So the person who lives there will get that auditory alert, that flashing light, fire alarm sound, but then also a care provider will get that, and they can make sure that that person is safe by getting in there. You can now, a lot of appliances have unique features that will allow you to remotely access them. So like, for example, there are fridges that will tell you the number of times they've been open and closed. They can tell you how many ounces of water have been dispersed from the water dispenser. There are stoves that you can turn off remotely. You can see if the stove has been on for this amount of time, or you've maybe done a drop-in call on an Alexa and with your mom, and she was cooking at that time, and a couple hours later, it looks like the stove is still on. Okay, well, maybe the stove shouldn't be on, so we shut the stove off remotely. There are also water sensors that can tell you if there's water detected, say by a sump pump or in a bathtub. And there are even ones that can have auto shut off, so to protect against water damage, a flood, or excuse me, or somebody, for example, that's forgotten to turn off the bathtub. And then you can monitor things. You could get a smart bathroom scale that is going to give you that historic data. So if you have someone who you're trying to help with their healthy weight management, you can log into the app and see, have they been logging every day? How's the progress? There are smart toothbrushes, which is, of course, there's smart toothbrushes. That could tell you how many minutes you've been brushing, and you might need to focus on a different area. It's so cool and bizarre at the same time. And then you can do like fitness or health tracking and sleep tracking. Oftentimes that's with a smartwatch type of device, but there are some other options as well. Okay. So you've kind of got an idea, your person, and because you know your person, you've been able to figure out, okay, this is what I might want to monitor to provide them with a safe environment. And so now we want to consider the support person. So who is the support person? First and foremost, who is going to be that support person? Is it several people? Guarantee you support is going to be needed. There is going to be a power surge and things need to be replugged in. There might be batteries that need to be replaced. Wi-Fi is going to go down. It's a guaranteed. So you got to have somebody that is designated to be that support person to make sure the system is running properly. And then when designing a system, you need to have someone and determine who's going to assess the person's needs. Is that same person going to be able to match those needs to the appropriate technology devices? Who's going to design the system, purchase it, set it up, and then provide training to either the individual user or the support staff? Okay, so now we're going to move into some different considerations. There are standalone and systems that you can kind of create on your own, customized to meet your needs, and versus fee-based outside services. This is a lot of information I was trying to condense into a pretty short half hour. So please bear with me. It is not all inclusive. If I failed to mention a favorite product you have, just let me know. I love to hear about it. And so just be aware that this is just a very condensed version of what's out there. So once you've figured out who the support will be or who the supports will be, how much they are willing to commit, how much they're able to commit to providing support to that person, it'll help you figure out if a DIY-based system is going to work or if you need to call in some outside help and get a subscription-based service. So for standalone systems, these usually have a family or staff that are providing monitoring and support. So who is going to be that support? Create a calendar and make sure you consider each care provider's needs. So for example, if you have someone who has a hearing impairment that's a care provider, will they be able to hear those alarms? Do we need to get a vibrating option? Are they going to know that they're getting those texts on their smartphone? Are they tech savvy? Those are different things to consider once you've determined that you're going to have a family or a staff person monitoring. Is that person going to be in the home or the building or maybe, on the property, or are they going to be remote? Is the system going to be basic? And I say that not because there's not features and they're not good systems. I say basic as non-internet based. Or are they going to be a smart internet-based system that you're going to have? If you're going to have an internet-based system, how strong is the Wi-Fi in the home? Does it reach all areas of the home? Is it a good, consistent connection, or do we need to look at upgrading that system so it is robust and will support the whole home and maybe property that you're trying to monitor? And then do all the systems components of the system you've created, do they all work together? Nothing's going to be fighting each other. So some considerations also are if the system has a call for help button that the individual can use, how are they going to access that? Can they give a voice command and say, hey, I need help? And that will trigger a call to their support person or their family member. Can they go and tap a button and do a call? Do they have a communication device that has a button that will trigger a video call? So keep that in mind. How are they going to access that? Where are we going to put our sensors, our motion detectors, our cameras? Where are we going to place those within the home? Is there power to those spots? Or do they need to be battery powered? If we are monitoring things that are outside, do we have the appropriate gear that is rated to perform in North Dakota winters and hot summers? Is that gear rated for that? Keep that in mind. So just some examples of some standalone systems. So these are ones that don't necessarily require a outside service or an outside company that has a fee. So a very basic system is the simple caregiver alert. That's the top left. That is just completely basic. It's not internet based at all, but there are open close sensors, there's monitors, there's a pager, a call for help button that the individual can wear. So this would be an option if the caregiver, say, lived in the same home as the person they're supporting. Maybe they're in a different area of the home. So that would be that type of option. Otherwise, we're looking at usually Wi-Fi based options. An example is a fridge lock. Surprisingly common is a need for a fridge lock if you have someone that, say, is eating a lot, it's causing health issues, and we want to keep them healthy, help support them by having that fridge locked for these parts of the day, say overnight, to support them and help and let them stay living independently. So maybe we need a fridge lock and it has a keypad or a proximity sensor. So if there's multiple individuals living in the home, it can be programmed that everybody, like these 3 individuals, can access it 24/7, but this person, we only want them to be able to access it from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., for example. So those can be programmed. You also have like a medication dispenser that can give alerts. There's the MedReady company. They have been a long-standing company. They have landline or cell phone based medication dispensers that can send a caregiver an alert if someone has missed their dosage, so that caregiver can call or pop in, whatever is needed. And then the Altum View is a system that can be just individual without any outside monitoring, or it can be added onto a fee and have a remote monitoring from an outside entity. And what this one is really cool is that it gives more privacy versus a traditional camera, because most of us don't want cameras pointed at us, recording our every movement. Most people I know, that is not what they want. I know personally, that's not what I want. So this Altum View gives you the security of having the camera, but it gives the person privacy by turning them into a stick figure. So it's a little hard to see unless you have a pretty big screen, but on the screen there's an image of a smartphone showing a video of a living room, and there's a person, and his name is Jack, and it's a stick figure. So Jack could be lounging about in his birthday suit, and he has privacy to do that. Because it's not a camera. So keep that in mind. Privacy is very important, especially for our seniors. We see most of them do not want cameras pointing. So maybe we can use motion detectors, or there are devices that have a presence sensing that don't require a camera. The Simply Safe is another system that is Wi-Fi based that can work without a fee, a monthly fee. But if you want that extra support, you can add on the fee. And then if you're looking at an outside fee-based service, you need to know what it is that they offer. Can you a la carte it? Maybe you don't need all those services. How is their support? Very, very important. Are you going to get a system and then you can't support it? And nobody's there? What's the company's reputation? How long have they been in business? What are the fees, of course, and what are the contract terms? Is there a penalty, say, if you decide after 2 months that this isn't going to work for somebody, but it's a 12-month contract and you are stuck paying those last 10 months? And then, of course, looking at reviews from other users. A few fee-based outside monitoring options that you can choose to use. There are 2 that I want to make sure to mention because they have reps in Minnesota. So Sengistics is based in Minnesota, and they create kind of a custom monitoring solution based on the person's needs with different sensors, medication dispensers, that's those different types of things. And then Simply Home is based in North Carolina, but there is a rep that is based in Minnesota that provides that service and goes to people's homes to provide installation and troubleshooting. And it's kind of a similar program where there's a central unit that's receiving signals from the different sensors that have been placed around depending on the person's needs. So whether that's a stove sensor, medication sensor, we need to know if the person is getting in and out of bed or if there's a fall, that type of thing. Similar type of system. So that's Simply Home. You can also go with one of the more general nationwide systems. Alexa, Amazon's Alexa now has an Alexa Together monitoring solution that's about $20 a month. And that allows you to have multiple caregivers that are connected into the system, and you can set alerts, receive activity notices from those Alexa smart home devices. Or you can look at a security system business, so more of a general security system business. Again, this all depends on what the person's needs are. What are the things we need to monitor? So a general security system company isn't going to be able to provide help with medication compliance. So, kind of keep that in mind. So first we want to figure out, know our person, figure out what are the things they need support with, and then we can find a system that will work for them. And I'm over time, but I really appreciate you joining us. We are here to help. North Dakota Assistive is here to help. Give us a call or email and we can help walk you through the process. We have devices available for short-term loan and free equipment demonstrations, and we can do those demonstrations virtually. So just give us a call. We're happy to walk through. Again, a copy of today's recording is going to be on our YouTube page and also our website, and the slides will also be there as well. Thanks so much for sticking around and have a great day.